Today we are going to talk about that one exam in India which everyone in their 20s at least once thinks about, and a job, or rather an array of jobs that no one in their 20s and even in their 30s, if given a chance, would refuse. We're talking about the UPSC, the exam which enables people to get into the Indian Administrative Services, Indian Police Services, Indian Foreign Services, Indian Revenue Services, Indian Forest Services, and a plethora of other jobs. But UPSC now has become a subject of great debate and discussion. People want reforms within the UPSC because they see that the problems with the bureaucracy somewhere stem within the UPSC. Now, a lot has already been discussed upon the subject of lateral entry into UPSC, how it should be done, should it be done, is it being done well enough? Today we are going to look at different aspects which need to be checked when it comes to the UPSC. Now these are low-hanging fruits that may get very little political resistance if they were to be applied to the UPSC, and we'll discuss them one by one. Now the first problem when you look at UPSC is that a lot of students, a lot of aspirants, as I would like to call them through the course of this video, spend 3 to 5 years not working anywhere. This is for the most of them, not all of them, but most of them. Most aspirants spend 3 to 5 years, some who get lucky clear it in 2 years, but some who are not, take 3 to 5 years to crack the exam. Now understand, if you give 1 year for the preparation of the exam, which is what people usually do, it takes another 1 year from the prelims to the interview. So that's 2 years of your life gone just cracking through the one attempt. Now a lot of people won't go through the first attempt, so they need the second attempt. So 2 years become 3 years. Now if you've gone through the second attempt, you want to go probably through the third and the fourth, and it goes on to 3 to 5 years before finally people give up. A lot of mock interviews, if you look on YouTube by a lot of leading tutors in the UPSC domain, have people who are coming out after graduation in 2014, 15, 16 and appearing for the exam in 21 or rather appeared in 2020. Now, the UPSC does allow that. The UPSC does not say that you cannot take a gap of 3 to 5 years. Some people actually justify the gap in their interviews also, and they do it very well. But the question arises that 3 to 5 years wasted in your 20s, is it really worth it? Is UPSC really willing to encourage a habit where people spend 3 to 5 years at their homes without a job, without a regular income, without, let's say, a regular source of income for themselves to prepare UPSC like that? Do we really want administrators like that? That's the bigger question. Now you have people coming in from IITs, you have people coming in from IIMs, you have people coming up with the medical sciences background. There is again no harm with it. But these are exams, these engineering and medical seats are something people aspire for very hard when they're in 11th and 12th. So to get into IIT after +2 and then to not pursue a technical job or an engineering job, but to rather waste another 2 or 3 years to get into UPSC, it just does not make sense if you look at the larger prospect. Again, the UPSC allows that, but this is one problem the UPSC really needs to fix. And that brings me to that one aspect I have been stating for a very long time, that perhaps it's time we start making WorkX compulsory for UPSC. Now, if you look at many corporate jobs, if you look at the Big Four, you look at Infosys, HCL, any senior role requires anyone to have a certain work experience. Most digital advertising jobs even, which are very easily available given the digital era we are in, also require a year or 2 of experience. Jobs in journalism, management, consultancy, tutoring, teaching, administration, all of them have a certain benchmark for work experience. But with UPSC, things are very different. Now, there are justifications for that. There are a lot of reasons for that perhaps employment in India is not that great. So you need to have people into UPSC without any work experience. But here's a thought just for the sake of argument. What if UPSC decided that 3 years of WorkX is compulsory for people who are only graduates and 2 years of WorkX is compulsory for people who have done their post-graduation? So that would make a level playing field for people who have actually pursued their masters. What that would do is that would make people eligible for other state level jobs already where they do not need any work experience, For the serious jobs, the likes which are attained through UPSC, there would be certain level of work experience. Now, the work experience would obviously help people in their 20s. It would help them get a knowledge of the ground, get them an understanding of how the corporate world works, what is professionalism, what are the good practices. I mean, there's so much they can learn from their 2 years with the formal work experience, be it with a corporate, be it with anything that is, suited to their respective domain. But this is one idea that UPSC should seriously start considering. To answer the question, oh, there's a lot of unemployment in India, the people who are not willing to pursue work experience for UPSC should rather shift their focus to state level jobs, because the kind of challenges the jobs within the UPSC have, an aspirant cannot say that, look, even with an engineering degree, even with a management degree or degree in humanities, I could not get myself a job for 2 years, and yet I aspire to be one of the best administrators of foreign service diplomats for India. That's just a thought that should be discussed for the sake of argument. The third aspect is, why do we need a CSAT in the exam? Right now, the CSAT we have, it's just, for students to get 33% to get through the filtration process. But perhaps it's time where we stress so much on communication skills when it comes to jobs in engineering, in management, in consultancy, or any other domain. We stress so much on the importance of communication. Yet we do not do the same when it comes to UPSC. 33% for a 10th level maths English level exam in UPSC is not fair. We need to probably extend it to 50%. Now, if you go back to 2012, 2013, there was a lot of resistance to the CSAT exam as well, which was very unfortunate, because people who are willing to be aspirants were not willing to test themselves on basic maths, aptitude, logic, reasoning, and English. This perhaps need to change from 33%. I think the filter must be applied where they go to 50%. That's the second low-hanging fruit UPSC must address. The third point is that of ranks. Now, if you've gone through the mock interviews on YouTube, and if you've gone through some interviews in leading newspapers, interestingly and unfortunately, there are a lot of people who reappear after cracking UPSC the previous year. Now, these are people who have got into IPS but want to get into IS. To give an example, these people are those who have got into IRS but want to get into, say, IFS, from revenue service to the foreign services, because they are not looking for the job. They are not looking at the job of a civil servant. They're looking for a post, and they're very vocal about it. They're very unapologetic about it, and some actually do succeed. So the UPSC does allow this. I'm not saying UPSC is not allowing this and they're doing something illegal. No, they're not. But UPSC needs to reconsider that someone who cracked the exam the previous year or a couple of years ago and is now coming and saying that, look, I got IPS, Indian Police Services, but I'm unhappy and we need to get into IS. Are these the practices UPSC really wants to encourage? Because, of course, one, there is the loss of seat. Second, it really mocks the entire system, which boils down everything to the rank one gets in the exam. There was this one interesting idea that was being floated around very recently, that let the ranks be restricted to who gets into the UPSC pool, who clears the exam. Let the rank be restricted till then. And after that, the 800, 900, 1100, whatever number of aspirants clear the exam, they should have an aptitude test which decides what field they are best suited for. Say someone who's got rank 570, irrespective of the categories, should have a fair shot at IAS, should have a fair shot at Indian Communication Services or Press Information Bureau jobs, if that's how it works. That should be the level playing field UPSC should aim for. Because boiling down everything to a rank is not fair for the jobs that this exam actually has. So this is one idea that was being floated around, that every time someone gets to Labasana, Missouri, where you have all the aspirants going for their first leg of the training, have an aptitude exam which decides which student is suited for which job. Now, the reservation angle will also come into play, because a lot of people will say that, oh, look, you are trying to get all people of a certain caste into IAS, all people of a certain caste into IPS. So perhaps you can also address the situation by having reserved number of posts for a certain category. Though I wouldn't encourage that on a personal level, but if that problem were to be addressed in terms of the UPSC jobs. The fourth aspect, because I spoke about the work experience, is that do we really need to start thinking about raising the age limit for UPSC? Currently, a general category candidate can only apply for UPSC as long as they're 32 years old. Should it be 35? Because a lot of people, after working abroad, after working in different parts of the world, after working for corporates in India, some after 10 years, really want to apply for the UPSC because they have so much information, so much knowledge, so much that they can apply to the administration, as we've seen in the lateral entries, that making the upper limit of age to 35 would enable them to be eligible for the exam. They may start at zero when they enter the UPSC entire structure, the administrative structure. They will have to start from zero. But imagine the kind of knowledge they can bring. Imagine the kind of application they can bring, the kind of insights they can bring from the private sector. This is also one aspect that needs to be looked upon. And lastly, for people who just miss the UPSC exam, clearing it by, say, the few marks, or they miss out on the interview, should UPSC start awarding certificates where people who have made it to the interviews and could not crack it get a certificate from UPSC, which probably gives them some sort of an advantage in a state level job or a private sector job, where they can put it on their CVs or resumes that, look, I appeared for the UPSC and this is where I got till so far, which was till the interviews. Because even getting to the interview in the UPSC hierarchy is a big deal in itself. Now, we have to talk about UPSC because it's one of the most difficult exams of the world. It is the most sought exam in India. But there are some low-hanging fruits in this exam also that need to be addressed, and that would only lead to better administrators and hence a better country. Thank you.